Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss about the modern theory of international trade. See, under this modern theory of international trade, we will see HO theory, that is Hechsher-Ohlin theory. In this video, we will discuss the main outlines, other names, factor endowments, Hechsher-Ohlin theory, assumptions, features and criticisms. See, what are the other names for Hechsher-Ohlin theory? See, first modern theory of international trade and HO theory, that means Hechsher-Ohlin theory. Next name for HO theory is 2 by 2 by 2 model. And factor endowment theory, factor proportion theory, relative factor endowment theory. See, generally the Hechsher theorem or Hechsher-Ohlin theorem states that, or it says that when trade occurs, the labor abundant country export labor intensive goods. See this one, labor abundant country export labor intensive goods, and capital abundant countries export capital intensive goods. In general, the reason for trade is the differences in labor or capital, that means factor endowments. See, let us see the pictures for Hechsher and Ohlin, photos, images. Okay, students, this is the Hechsher and Ohlin. Okay, next slide. That is what are the HO theory states that, or it is based on two-factor model with labor and capital. That means what? Labor and capital, it is the two factors of factor model. And some countries have abundance of capital and some countries or others have labor. So in countries with abundance of capital, and the capital would be cheap. And the main thing of the modern theory of international trade is there are different modern theories of international trade: factor endowment theory, new trade theory, international product life cycle, and national competitive advantage theory. Say, the HO theory is based on two-factor model and the differences in prices, because the difference in factor endowment between countries. The main importance of this theory, the reason for trade in the differences in factor endowment. See, factors of production or resources are not equally distributed. So, distributed among the countries. So, therefore, the countries produce goods that requires factors that they have. And the countries with large population, labor cost would be less, and they concentrate on production and the export of labor intensive products. For example, India and China with a large population should produce and export labor intensive items. Next, let us discuss. So the HO model or Hechsher-Ohlin model states the benefits to countries when they export goods using resources that are abundantly available and without depending only on local market, and they can import products from other that they lacking. That they lacking means insufficient. Next, assumptions of HO theory. Say, first one, this HO theory is a 2 by 2 by 2 model. That means what? Two country, two commodity, two factors of production. So that's why this theory is called 2 by 2 by 2 model. Next, commodity X means labor intensive and commodity Y is capital intensive. There are two factors of production. And there is labor abundance in country A, and country B is capital intensive or capital rich. Next, there is perfect competition. See, perfect competition means what? Large number of buyers and sellers in both markets. And both commodities are produced under constant returns to scale. Next assumption, both countries use the same technologies, that is method of production, that is technology in production is the same one, and no differences in taste and preference of the consumers, and there are no trade barriers and absence of transport cost and full employment of resources, and factors of production are perfectly mobile within the countries. And another assumption, factors of production are perfectly immobile between the countries. Next, let us discuss about the features of the theory. See, the main features of the theory of international trade is difference in commodity prices in two countries. So, the reason for the cost difference in factor endowment in the two countries. Okay. Next, what are the major contributions of the theory? See, first, the international trade is different from internal trade, and so therefore the separate theory was needed for international trade. And Hechsher theory is considered as international trade because it is a special case for international trade. And always the general equilibrium approach based, and the countries have different factor endowments and different commodities are produced. These are all the major contributions of the theory. Now let us discuss the major criticism of the Hechsher-Ohlin theory. See, the first criticism of this theory is does not explain the exports that arise due to consumer preferences. And next one, it ignores the transport cost, not consider the differences in technological development among nations, and not considers the product differentiation, and no differences in taste and preferences in the two countries is incorrect, and no perfect competition in both commodities. These are all the criticism of the HO theory. Students, if you have any doubt means ask me. Thank you.